What's good, y'all? rlybeats here, and today we're going to talk about some more music theory. We're going to talk about syncopation mainly today. And it's just mostly some rhythm stuff, nothing too crazy, nothing too complex. It's all simple, trust me. So if you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated by me, by you, by the community, by your country's government, who knows, but there's only one way to find out. So let's get right into it. So this might be a shorter music theory video, because like I said, syncopation, it's pretty simple. It's entirely rhythm related, and it basically just means that rhythms are played in unexpected ways to accent beats. Nothing too crazy. As you know, 4/4 time has 4 beats per bar. Most common Western music these days is made in 4/4 time, and so we're aiming to accentuate the 4 beats there, you know? The first and the third beat are strong beats, and the second and fourth beats are weak beats. This will be important for later, so just kind of stash that in the memory brain. There's really 3 different types of ways to syncopate, different types of ways to syncopate, my bad. So right here, we just have a very simple piano melody, just playing 1, 2, 3, 4 on each of the beats. This is not syncopated. This is just completely 1, 2, 3, 4 on beat, nothing crazy. And here's how this sounds. Just completely on beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we have this other type. We have this type of syncopation. This is called offbeat syncopation. It's basically you're removing a beat and playing that beat slightly off. It takes the accent off of the beat. That beat that was playing right here, it's gone now. We moved it over here, and it just slightly accentuates the next beat. So here's how that sounds. So this beat here is typically a weaker beat, but because of that, we're drawing more attention to it because it's missing. In our mind, it's naturally supposed to be there, but it's not there. So here we have another type of syncopation. This is suspended syncopation. Try saying that 5 times fast. So basically, suspended syncopation is where you have a note tie over to the next beat, and then the accent won't start until the next beat. You look here, we have this note, it ties over from this bar. So the 4th note of this bar ties over, and the 1st note of this bar doesn't get played. This will make some accentuation, and I'll show you guys what that sounds like real quick with the metronome. So basically right there, that just kind of leaves the listener expecting a note, but the note doesn't come. And because it doesn't come, it creates a little bit more unexpected anticipation, so you're eagerly listening to hear what comes next. This next type of syncopation, it's a bit more interesting and kind of just shows you how realistically simplistic syncopation is as a whole. And this is called even note syncopation. So this just puts emphasis on a weak beat as opposed to a strong beat. And as I mentioned earlier, the 2nd and the 4th beat are weak beats. The 1st and the 3rd are strong beats, and the 1st beat is the strongest beat there. So as you can see here, threw up the velocity, and that adds some emphasis onto that note, so it gets played harder, and it draws more emphasis to that weaker beat. And here's how this sounds. Essentially, to have syncopation, you have some beats where notes are not playing, so you probably have been making some syncopated rhythms without even knowing it. And if you have some melodies that aren't syncopated and you want to spice them up, syncopate away. So a good example of this is I will see a lot of people, they'll just have a melody that kind of just looks like this. Their melody will just down, it'll just kind of arpeggiate for 4 beats, and this will be their melody. And here's how this sounds, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot you could do to spice it up. So let's just say you move this note over, and then this would be a bit more zesty, if you will. And so you can really get to playing around with the rhythm, and this kind of just holds true with one of my favorite things that's ever been said about music. A scale only has 7 notes. You can play outside of the scale, if depending, and we'll get into that later on in the music theory series. You can play outside of the scale, but there's only 7 notes realistically, and you're not often playing outside of the scale. So with those 7 notes, and let's say you're using all 12 notes, you have 12 notes tops. That doesn't leave you a lot of different things you can do, but what it does leave you with is a lot of different times you can mess with. Maybe you're using the same notes as a popular song, who knows, but you can have completely different rhythms, and the rhythm is what really spices it up. And I think a lot of this kind of holds true in that a lot of songs use the exact same chord progression, but they're just played rhythmically different. And I think too, one of my favorite examples of syncopation kind of carries over into hi-hats, specifically drill. Because if you think about it, drill hi-hats are a great example for syncopation. So if you see here, you can very clearly see the syncopation. There's no note being played here, and then the note is being played on the offbeat. And you can even go further to accentuate it with different types of rolls and with the even note syncopation. I forgot the name for a second, my bad. So let's just say you have a 2-step instead. You have all of this, but a roll is counted as an emphasis. So let's say we go to the weak beat here. So as you can see, it kind of carries into the weak beat getting accentuated. You can even take this a step further if you want, cutting some notes out. So for example, let's say we cut this note here. This will add a bit more of a bounce to this. It's accentuating not only this beat, but then the strong beat that comes after it. So this can be going into melodies, into drums, because again, there's a lot of crazy things you can do, and you can take this in mind when you're making a two-step hi-hat pattern, because that's probably the most common example of unsyncopated rhythms. So again, back to what we had, we just started with this two-step hi-hat pattern. A lot of different things we could do to accentuate it, accentuate the different beats, and it's something to keep in mind when you're making a drum pattern or a melody, is just what beats you want accentuated, what's happening where and why. So for example, I'm gonna draw out a little drum pattern real quick. So here we just have this is completely unsyncopated, this kick pattern. So let's just say we remove this, maybe we even add a note here. This is a very common drum pattern actually now. You'll see this a lot of the time in internet money melodies or internet money beats. This kind of pattern, you see this a lot in melodic stuff. You see it a lot in just a lot of genres these days. And here's how this kind of sounds. So all that's really syncopated here is just the kick, because this is playing on the off beat. There's nothing going on this beat. Same with that beat. It's a very simple syncopation, but you can accentuate that with the hi-hat. So we know there's nothing going on here, and we know that this beat's accentuated. So what if we just kind of threw in a bit more emphasis on this beat, just to tie the drums together a bit more and accentuate the beat that's not having much going on. You can flesh that out even more. This beat here, it's accentuated, so we can draw more emphasis to it too. Oof. So really at the end of the day, syncopation, it's just adding a little bit of bounce. You hear producers talking about bounce. Syncopation plays a part in it. It's definitely not the whole thing, but it is a good rhythmic idea to keep in mind. You've probably been syncopating your beats, your melodies, your drums all this time without even knowing it. And you might hear people throw around the word syncopation, but now you might know what it means. So there you go, a little simple music theory for today. Appreciate all y'all watching the video. Appreciate every one of you. If you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, I'd appreciate that too. You might appreciate it. The world would appreciate it, because it helps reduce the global ozone layer from what I've heard. I don't think we're trying to reduce it though. I think we're trying to get it bigger, so never mind. But yeah, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be great. So yeah, peace. That was a good take.